Hello, Cancerians. Welcome to your new moon in sidereal Vedic Aquarius reading for March 13th. And this reading is good, or applies rather, until April the 12th. So the reading that we're getting here gives us advice and guidance through to the next new moon, which occurs on the 12th of April. I'm looking at your 8th house, where this stellium in Aquarius is going to fall, and that is the house of illness and death, loss. Whoa. And the cards just went everywhere. So I'm hoping that offsets some energy in that direction for you. It is a difficult house to manage, but there are several, while I get myself sorted here, there are several helpful planets in it this time. We have Saturn, Mercury, and Neptune there. And Neptune is like a higher octave of Venus who's also involved in this lunation. So, be careful with your perceptions at this time. Because of the way Saturn rules this house, there may be some important information coming to you about business or marriage. Gifts or inheritance are also here in this 8th house, as well as intergenerational living. So, places where we come together are kind of generally around birth and death. And that's how I more or less look at the influence of this house, especially with Saturn and Mercury affecting it. But for us overall, this is a general opportunity to get aligned with ourselves. And those big milestones in life have a way of bringing us back to our soul. And that's what I feel this full moon in Aquarius, or this new moon in Aquarius, is best used for. Aligning ourselves with our soul so that we can serve the collective, serve the larger purposes of life and spirit. Ending internal war as a means of having an effect on the external war. So, your Golden Thread Tarot card for this reading is the Ace of Swords. And this is a new way of thinking, a new thought, a new intuition. Well, not necessarily as much intuition as idea, I guess is what I'm trying to say. With the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Blades, we are talking about a brand new way of seeing what's going on in our lives, and maybe what's going on between our soul, capital S, and our self, small s. But it definitely implies a breakthrough, some sort of clarity. There could be a revelation involved here. And sometimes in those landmark life events, births, deaths, communal living, inheritance, that's where we get the information that our soul wants. By holding, a pair of ideas that conflict, like life and death, then we get the information that rebalances the soul, gives us the equilibrium that we need. Beautiful. And on the back of that, as a counterpoint to it, we have the Justice card. This, of course, being about a major arcana card, being about cause and effect, like the laws of life and death, and truth, and of course justice, balancing the scales. So, a change of thought, a breakthrough in ideas that brings more justice, more clarity, more truth. But Cancerians, whatever is happening, and I know traditionally people think of the 8th house as a difficult house and a new moon as a dark time, but it is there to serve a change in thinking for you. And our nature is transformational. We wouldn't do this stuff voluntarily, right? So we came blindly, and we have to trust. You don't have to trust that Spirit is guiding you in the right direction, but if you can do that in moments when you feel fear, then there is a real sense of purpose. And I think aligning to ourselves and aligning to purpose is a big part of what we're doing on planet Earth. Your signifier card, this beautiful, I'm sorry, I just passed it by, so I gotta grab it again. I'm kind of butterfingers this morning. Is the Fool card, if I can find it. It flashed and then disappeared for me. I'm sorry, having difficulty locating it, but I'm gonna grab it because it was shown to me as your signifier card. And the Fool is, of course, the 0 card, the before the beginning. And that to me definitely points to the soul's journey here. It's about what the soul wants, not what the ego wants. And when we are able to surrender, geez Louise, sorry about that, in the way that the Fool does, trusting to fate, believing that life has a plan that goes beyond our plan, maybe not even heeding the warnings, seeing Spirit so clearly that the real world doesn't matter. And at times this can be about naivety, but I think it's about how you set out on the journey towards Spirit in this reading. And the 2 of Pentacles is another balance card, and because you got Justice, I think these things are a little bit intertwined. It seems like decisions are a little difficult for you to make at this point in time. You're covered by the card of the Juggler, and this person, obviously in the circus, is the one who entertains us with balance, entertains us with keeping things in dynamic fluidity, adapting to change. You're somehow balancing your priorities, and it may be that this new moon casts all of that into a new light for you because of the Ace of Swords. You are crossed by the slowest moving knight in the deck, and all of the knights signify movement. Pentacles being important in your reading today seems like, this is about security, the material world, and nature, and that's right in line with the 8th house. But his upright meaning is, efficiency and hard work and duty, responsibility. He doesn't get it done quickly, but he gets it done thoroughly. And in the obstacle position, as we're reading this one today, he's kind of neglecting, he's derelict of duty, and, the life outside of work is more or less what's being neglected here. So the home, the family, the relationships are not being seen to, not being taken care of. So perhaps in trying to balance your priority it's been a little difficult to find ways to balance all the different facets of your life. I think that's true of all of us in this time. I think the pandemic has given us all challenges that we weren't prepared to balance, and a year and some in, trying to bring those into some sort of reasonable maintenance is a little bit difficult. And since this dutiful knight is neglecting them right now, that may be showing you a blind spot with this Ace of Swords. You are crowned by the Queen of Swords. Now, what's great about that is she is clarity. So somehow your thoughts are becoming ordered here, despite the hurdy-gurdiness of everything that's going on in your world and the surrounding environment so far. You know, she's the kind who can perceive her way and discern her way through complexity. She's introverted in her clarity, and she tries to watch very closely. She is the observer influence, and her clarity generally is prevailing in your reading right now. In the foundational position, you have the Magician, and I like this as a foundation card, that's for sure, because he has everything he needs. All of the suits are represented on this table. He has the pentacle, he has the cup, he has the sword, and he has the staff or the wand. He's holding aloft kind of a fifth power, and it is connected, just like the ellipsis at the top of his head is to the strength card, to the higher power. And a lot of what's going on in this new moon is about the connection between heaven and earth, and the life trees and the pillars of the axis mundi. So your foundation is blessed, I would say ordained, just looking at this card. That's the word that comes to me. But he's willpower, desire. He's inception, like the thing before manifestation, before the idea is even an idea. The soul's will is present, and that's basically what he's representing here. Good news. Because you're moving away from a difficult time, a period of anxiety, perhaps some sleeplessness. This is one of the most difficult cards in the Rider WAITE deck, and obviously, he's run through by a couple of those swords, but they're keeping this person from sleeping. And the good news about this is twofold. You're moving away from it, first of all, and secondly, this is thought. This is idea, this is reason, and difficult thoughts like this can be overcome. If it was, something actual, something material, an actual sword, that'd be a different matter. That'd be something that we'd have to take care of in other ways. But since it's mental, it can be dealt with internally, and this sort of clarity shows us the way to do that. It's about, trauma, but knowing that the triggers are where the cure is gives us the opportunity to re-experience without the initial harm. We can go back to difficult places from a place of safety if we are fortunate, and we can see them in a different way. Now you're moving toward heartbreak and grief. It's a difficult reading, and I don't want to say to this point, I don't want to soften it because it's a message. And I think we've all been in the bubble of thinking for a very long time that we're going to go from strength to strength with everything, and we are going to constantly grow, constantly improve. And that's not exactly how life works, and it's not the lesson that we're supposed to get from Spirit. I like the Three of Swords, certainly a lot better than the Nine of Swords because, there's thought compounded. But I like it because these three thoughts that open the heart, that this number 3 is sacred. This could be 3 heartbreaks that you've had to endure. And, they say they come in threes. That's what this card is about. There is an end to the ache, and it flips into joy, but only to the receptive heart. And what do I mean by the receptive heart? You have to be willing. You have to go willingly toward these sacrifices. Soul gives us the ability to do that because we know we're not of this world, right? We're just visiting. We have a body. We are not a body. And as long as we're convinced that what we are in is what we are, we can never find the way out of it. The soul's goal is to show us through, in antiodromia, the constant pressing until you open. You have to break open, not break closed, right? Not be bitter in it. And that is a tall order. No joke. I am not at all saying that that's something easy to do. I'm not saying that's something that I have mastered or anything like that. But from everything that I've studied and everything that I'm trying to understand, it seems like an open heart is the best protection and a broken heart 3 times more so. Otherwise, why would we be doing this? Why would we need to get our hearts broken this way? So that's a challenge and a half, but it's a different way of thinking. And if you can at least entertain the notion, maybe some of the blows won't be so difficult, right? This is who you are in the moment now. And if you can look at the perils and the dangers that face you as an adventure, as the hero's journey, right? We like our heroes to go down, and we like them to raise themselves up from a difficulty. That's like the work of Joseph Campbell. That's like how we are redeeming the suffering that we do. And that's what I get more so than anything else out of all these swords. And certainly that you have what you need to do this. It's innate in you. Something is not being attended to, and the language of spirit is going to get harsh as long as you're not bringing your attention to the fact that, in my opinion, and this is my humble opinion, you are not a body. You are in this world, but not of it. And if you can find a way to bring that into your day-to-day and see this adventure as the good news that it really is, the good luck that it really is. It's said in the Vedic tradition that even the gods envy human incarnation because you actually get a chance to be in communication with your soul. Sometimes it speaks through joy, but that's not really where we learn the lessons, unfortunately. When it speaks through pain, we get the point. Oh my goodness, that was a terrible pun, I'm sorry. The Six of Cups. All around you is a nostalgia for a better time. Who is not feeling this right now? The nostalgia for a better time, the love that we once imagined we had here, the familiarity, the happy memories, and the healing, the idea of returning home. And it's an idea, it's a thought like all these others, right? And this is a card about the emotions of that. There's another kind of return, and it's not a physical one, and it's not about the body. The soul departs from unity and returns to unity. The point of understanding the pain of the world is to embrace the return. And that is a very helpful and important way to look at death, as a return to the one energy, the one source. It is the soul's longing both to leave and to return. And they're so beautifully represented here as opposing ideas. Only in the human body can you hold opposites in unity. And the Knight of Wands as the adventurer and the Six of Cups as the return home. You know, this is who you are. This is what is around you. Could be your own emotion right now. You hope and fear the devil. Got it. That is the return to habit, right? It's not evil. This is what you hope and what you fear. You hope that you can somehow turn difficult situations, as we all do, into play, right? Life is about the Leela. It's about play, but it's about it in a very, very difficult way. You have to, or I have to, we all are challenged with conditioning the soul differently than the material way that we were raised, than the material thoughts that we were given. This is all there is. This is how it is. You know, what is that terribly violent statement that people love to make all the time? It is what it is. This is saying, no, it isn't. You know, I am a spirit soul, and I am not involved with the machinations of matter beyond using them to illuminate my soul. This is, you know, in the fear side of it, it is materialism, it is hedonism, it is addiction to those ideas that everyone around us is not only holding but perpetuating this violence against each other and the planet. This is a way of seeing that whole thing as ridiculous and absurd and turning the difficulty and the thoughts that surround it and support it into something kind of funny. Because I don't know about you, I know a lot of people who take themselves too seriously, but when I see somebody wearing a collar for any reason, wearing it for, you know, bed play or the business, the boardroom, I think it's kind of funny. It's character, it's play. And that's essentially what we're doing with our beliefs here. Beautiful reading, Cancerian. This is amazing. And you have another night. This is the third night in your reading, and 3 being that sacred number. So it's like there will be 3 movements here. One is inertia, of course. This is the gunas, right? This is such a Vedic reading. It's unbelievable. This is inertia. This is higher movement, a sattvic movement, a movement of higher power, which is where you are right now. Feel this moment because you're doing it right now, what you need to be doing. And then this, the Knight of Swords, is the impulsive, like I gotta move on this kind of thing. And it's the outcome card. I wouldn't ordinarily say this. It's a Rajasic card in this reading, and it's a card of relationship. So when you are overcome with the I can no longer not move feeling, and your intuition supports it, and your soul supports it, maybe you can remember this moment and check in with it. Make the move, and it will complete whatever your soul is trying to bring together for you. Nice. It's trying to bring together for you what's represented by the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is a master. All the kings in the Rider WAITE deck represent the mastery of their suit. And this is the mastery of energy and creation and willpower. Very significant to this reading. You know, it takes a lot to overcome your conditioning. It takes a lot to be able to forge your own path, go your own way, look at life as an adventure and not a tragedy. But the opportunity is here for you to become a visionary leader. a person who overcomes the challenges of materialism, the challenges of thought that can keep you imprisoned in a materialist mindset. This is like a prayer for you, Cancer, that you're able to rise in this way, overcome. Gosh, the cards are just flipping everywhere on this reading I'm trying to do for you. There's so much spirit in it. I love the final card, or the card that speaks to the whole reading as being one of overcoming challenges, because there certainly are some challenges in this reading. I mean, it starts out kind of light and innocent, and then it moves into a serious journey of spirit in matter, which is all that's ever really happening. And it's all separation and return and joy and ache, and needs to be looked on from a higher perspective with a different way of seeing. I'm surprised we haven't got a Hanged Man card in here, because it seems like it's his reading. But what I think is really interesting is that it's all kind of orchestrated and founded in the Magician and your soul. So be hopeful. I know this looks a little dur. It's got a couple of things that are really challenging within it, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. And the greater the challenge, the greater the soul, right? Oof. You've got the Ant card. This is a card about patience. You know, these tiny creatures work together in order to maintain a large collective. I don't see it necessarily as other people working with you. This reading doesn't seem to imply a whole lot of that, although there's some couples here maybe. But what I really see is the warring factions within you that need to be brought into a type of alignment that is satisfying to you, that is right for you. And I think you know what I'm talking about, right? The situation that you're facing, the way that you're living right now, just like for all of us, needs to change. And it's a mental change for you. It's just a way of thinking, and that is well under your control, and you can overcome it. You have everything you need to do it. You are supported by your mother, the earth. No better companion to have behind you. I think, honestly, holding opposites in unison like this, reuniting wandering parts of ourselves, is the work that we do for the planet. And I think we're kind of an organ in her systems, bringing to her disparate pieces a kind of symbiosis, like a unity within us that serves the greater whole. We seem to be charged with this. Your reading certainly seems to have a lot about bringing two things into a unity, and I think they're inside you. And I hope that you realize all your skills and talents, see it as an adventure, and move forward in hope. Thank you so much for being with me, Cancer. Thank you so much for sharing this gorgeous, meaningful, deeply meaningful reading with me. And thank you for your likes, shares, subscribes, and all the YouTube things. Really appreciate you. See you again in the next new moon reading. Thank you, Cancerians. Thank you.